Okay, great. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, March 12th, 2021, 8:15. All members of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund are present. I will read the prologue. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order superseding certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend the meetings can be found on the Town of Southborough's website at www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by finding the meeting at www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, and despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Whew. Okay.
That's pretty good, Lisa.
Thank you. Woo, I'm telling you. So I'll call the meeting to order at 8:21. Thank everybody for coming. First order of business is approval of supplemental funding for rent and mortgage assistance program. I'm going to throw this over to Selectman Malinowski to give us an update and let us know what she needs for a vote. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Thanks, Lisa. So just to give this committee an update on the last round that we did, we approved about $13,000 worth of rent and mortgage assistance to residents. And that was submitted by the town accountant in her February 26th submittal to CARES. So every expectation is that that funding will be covered and we won't have to use the trust. But CARES, as I'm sure most of you are aware, has been extended through December of 2021. So I worked with the town accountant and the director of youth and family services to come up with a second round of this program. And we did change the process a little bit to streamline it. Kind of after we went through the first round, there was a lot of back and forth between myself, the town accountant, and the emergency fund. So in talking with both of those departments, we decided that I would do the legwork of getting all the applications together, doing the initial review, making sure everything is in order. The director of youth and family services was nice enough to offer to do a secondary review for me before it goes to the town accountant to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And then the town accountant will do what she did with the first round, reviewing all the materials and getting the checks actually issued either to the lender or the landlord. And I also made some changes to the guidelines and the application based on some of the challenges that we hit with the first round, one being getting the W-9 up front rather than on the back end, and making some things more clear in the application to hopefully answer questions. Mark was kind enough to set up a phone number for me and a voicemail so that if somebody doesn't feel comfortable emailing me, then they can call a town phone number that I can check the voicemails on and get back to that resident. So what I'm looking for today is an approval of the updated guidelines and application. And you know, we can play it by ear if we want to on the 25,000. So we have $12,000 left this round, because we had approved 25,000 last time, or if we want to up that now in case we hit more applications this time, then I don't have to come back to this board to get approval for a higher amount.
Anyone have any thoughts on upping it back up to 25,000 for this round? So we don't necessarily have to have another meeting. in between. Go ahead, Sam.
Um,
Sorry.
A question or two, if I can.
Sure.
I'm certainly in favor of upping it. Do we know if there is more money either in the CARES Act for 2020 or in the new Stimulus Act for 2021 that will help offset this cost that we can access? I mean, it seems to me if there's a sizable amount of money there, we ought to go ahead and put that in the pot and work hard to make this
Yeah.
open to people. And
So Sam, the intent
supported.
is that all of this will be covered under the $896,000 that was allocated to Southborough last year. And I think we absolutely have the bandwidth within that allocation still. This is just the backup funding if it doesn't
Right.
get approved. So we absolutely have enough room here, and we did not, if you remember last round, we didn't turn anybody away if they qualified.
Yeah, I'm surprised there aren't more people out there who do qualify, but maybe not. So we'll see. Maybe it seems like 25 is a good place to start if we are under that last year, and then we'll keep our eyes open for more. Maybe. Thank you.
Yeah, and I also think that the last time was a tighter timeline. This, I'm just going to do a rolling application, and the deadline will be December 1st of 21, rather than kind of the 6-week timeline that we did last time. So it gives people a little bit more time to get their documents together, because there are several documents that people need to get together in order to apply.
Do you think that the current stimulus bill has the similar access for us for funding for this? I haven't looked closely at that one, but we're looking at $1 million roughly for Southborough from that one, as I understand it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this particular for assistance for housing for rent and mortgage, but there is also another program called ERAP that is available to folks. And that one, it's very clear in the CARES state guidelines now that if you apply for the rent and mortgage assistance program, you cannot have previously applied or intend to apply for the ERAP program. So there is another program out there that folks can apply for.
Good, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just generally, I'm fine with the 25,000. And Sam, could you shoot me an email when you finish going through that stimulus bill? I think it's 8,000 pages. So
yes, that's right.
Just keep me updated.
I'm at 4,000 and counting.
It's got a red line version, Marty.
That's right. Excellent.
Mr. Boland, your thoughts?
I'm fine with it. I mean, it's certainly things that we want to do. So let's do it versus trying to get another meeting if we run short.
Okay, Mr. Shea?
I'm on board as well.
Okay, Chelsea, do you want to make a motion on this?
Sure. So I'll move that we accept the updated guidelines and application for the rent and mortgage assistance program to go through December of 2021, and affiliated with that up to $25,000 in addition to the $25,000 that was previously approved.
Do we have a second? Okay, Mr. Shea, and we'll do roll call. I'll go by order on my screen. I'm not as good as Mr. Healy with alphabetical. So Ms. Malinowski.
Aye.
Mr. Healy.
Aye.
Mr. Shea.
Aye.
Mr. Stivers.
Aye.
Mr. Boland.
Aye.
And Ms. Braccio. Aye, and sorry, Ms. Jasinski. Sorry, Dorian.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, unanimous. Thank you very much. Item number 2, one-stop grant program. Chelsea, I will toss it back over to you once again for an update. Thank you.
Sorry, we're just doing preschool activities. So the one-stop grant program, I just wanted to give an update on this. I think most of you are familiar with this program, as some of us have received some documentation from EDC on this, but essentially this is a grant application that they're looking for towns to make a submittal for up to 5 projects. And then the state will come back and say, okay, you fit this project fits with this grant. Now let's work through getting an actual application for that grant. And I just wanted to update this group. SHOPC met on Tuesday and discussed 2 items that are of interest of SHOPC. One of them is updating zoning around the train station in Southborough, that area. of Southville, and figuring out getting a consultant to give us some guidance on what the opportunities are there in terms of affordable housing and or diversity of housing. So we did leave it open. We didn't make it specific to 40B, 40R. We just kind of want to know what the options are. So that's kind of our primary interest with this. And then the second one is kind of piggybacking on what EDC and Capital is looking at in terms of Route 9 and seeing what the options are for expanding housing on Route 9. And there's a wastewater component, which really doesn't fall under SHOPC, but it could enhance housing opportunities along Route 9 if that's where we go. So we, and I know Sarah and Dorianne are working on a letter to go to the Board of Selectmen to review, as the Board of Selectmen are kind of prioritizing the opportunities there. So I just wanted to make sure that this group was aware in case there was anything else from a housing perspective that SHOPC didn't address that you also wanted to have included in what goes to the board.
I'm muted, sorry. Before we open it up to everybody, Dorian, did you want to add anything, or did Chelsea?
That letter went out yesterday. I believe Sarah got it out and I dropped up a signed copy.
Okay.
Me to sign
Perfect.
a letter. So that letter to the Board of Selectmen went yesterday.
Okay, so we'll go around. Marty, do you have anything, any questions or anything to add?
Nothing to add, just a couple of questions. So the letter, I haven't seen it yet, Dorianne. The letter asks the Board of Selectmen to do what?
Well,
Or is it just an update?
it's just letting you know the projects that we've identified that we'd be interested in trying to do. One of them was the feasibility and potential creation of a transit-oriented overlay district or rezoning near the Southville area to facilitate affordable housing. And the other was visioning feasibility study to explore a variety of development strategies for Route 9.
Okay, and the idea is that those would be two separate MAPC items that would be part of the consideration of the potential up to 5 that the town would submit?
Yes, that is correct.
So I think, Marty, with the other boards and committees that are also looking at Route 9, I think that could be packaged as one project.
Route
Because
9
I think,
part of it.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, so I don't think SHOPC's looking for their own Route 9 project as one of the 5. I think it would make sense if we could kind of coordinate those together with Capital and EDC.
okay, good. I think both are great ideas. Thanks.
Mr. Shea?
Sorry, no additional questions. Thanks.
Mr. Stivers?
One comment, I think this is a great idea, and I would hope that within the sort of generic description, one of the things that's on the list for consulting input is the potential for a friendly 40B, maybe on Route 9, seems to me is an interesting location. So I would hope we would keep our eye open for that one, because that would be helpful in several regards. Thanks.
Thank you, Sam. Mr. Boland?
Nope, nothing additional. Be nice to do something again.
Awesome. And I have nothing additional either. So Chelsea, you don't need any votes or anything on that. That will come from the Board of Selectmen when we review all of the applications for that. Okay.
Yes.
Dorian, I'm sorry, I didn't ask you. Did you have anything further to add on that?
Nope, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm good to go.
Great. Number 4, strategic grants and contributions. Ms. Malinowski again. You have the floor.
So Sarah from planning was nice enough to put together a grant application to put together a strategic plan, which is kind of a supplemental document to the HPP that was completed last year. And she's been working with MAPC on kind of making sure that we fit in with this grant application. And this is due next Friday, I believe, the 19th. And SHOPC, as part of the conversation around this strategic plan, SHOPC discussed a contribution component to this to increase our opportunity to actually get the grant. And the grant could be awarded up to $15,000, which would include the 5-year strategic plan, and language to be used annually for CPC articles to transfer housing bucket money into the trust. So I'm looking for this board to approve up to $2,500 for the contribution to, if we were awarded the grant, to contribute that from the trust. So, oh, you're on mute, Lisa.
Only if we're awarded the trust, though.
Yep. Oh, the grant.
The grant. Okay,
Mhm.
that was my question.
Yeah,
Was,
the grant, sorry.
okay, was there
Yes.
anything you wanted to add, Dorian? So we'll go around again. Marty, do you have any questions, comments?
Not a question, just a, on the in fact, is that what it is, an application?
Yes.
Whatever it is, submittal. Okay. If you look at the second page under municipal contribution, I just think that something got lost in a cut and paste or whatever. It said estimated cost for the scope of services is between $15,000.
Okay. Good point. Yeah.
So just,
Thank you.
and then it says $2,700 on the same line. It says $2,500. Maybe that's planned, but
Yeah, so I think the intent there is to show the total expenditures for the town if we were to receive this grant. So we would contribute $2,500 out of the trust, and then the staff hours would total $2,700 for them to actually commit their time to working on the strategic plan.
okay, entirely up to you if whether or not you want to say it again, because the numbers are so close.
I know.
You know, again, looking at it, I thought it was a typo, and that was supposed to be 2,500. Again, maybe I just didn't read it close enough, but maybe totaling $2,700 in addition to the requested contribution or something like that.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
clarify
That's
that.
it for me.
Got it. Thank you.
Mr. Shea,
Nothing further.
Mr. Stivers?
Nothing more.
Okay, great. Mr. Boland?
Nope.
And I'm going to go to Sarah quickly. Sarah, did you want to add anything to what Chelsea has said? I know you're here. You're muted.
Oh, yep. Thanks. No, Chelsea did a great job. You know, it is relatively straightforward. I'm glad you all had the opportunity to review the application. You know, if there's any other comments or additions that anybody wants, I'm obviously open to them. So thanks for hearing.
Great. And thanks, Sarah, for putting that together.
Sure.
And Dorianne, anything you'd like to add or?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. I have nothing further. Chelsea, would you like to
Sure,
put your
so-
motion forward?
Sure. So I move that we proceed with applying for the strategic plan grant, including a contribution of $2,500 if the grant is awarded.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
Second.
Mr. Stivers. Roll call vote. Mr. Healy,
Aye.
Ms. Malinowski,
Aye.
Mr. Shea,
Aye.
Mr. Stivers,
Aye.
Mr. Boland,
Aye.
Ms. Jazinski.
I'm actually going to abstain as the chair of SHOPSI. I don't want there to be a question on my vote, so I'm going to abstain from this.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Ms. Braccio, aye. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 601. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And Chelsea, thank you for all of that.
Makes
Number
sense.
5, I just wanted to give an update on Stockwell. So it is getting ready to go back on the market now. Karen Morand is meeting us out at the house today to take some pictures. DHCD has set the price on the unit for $193,514. That includes a 2% resale fee that will cover the cost of Karen marketing the project. You'll see in the packet, Karen did a summary of what her services are, as well as the documentation. I'll work with Mr. Purple and Mr. Parent to get the final page, the resale property information form filled out for her. She needs that, but she's going today to take pictures. One of the expenses, I know at the meeting in 2018, there was a vote to expend up to $10,000 to market and get the project, the unit ready. We're actually going to bring a cleaner in because it sat for a long time, and bring somebody in just to spruce it up a little bit. So that will be coming out of the trust. But again, it shouldn't be more than a couple hours to wipe everything down, you know, sweep the floors, wash the floors. A walkthrough on the unit showed it's in very good shape. So again, Karen is going to move forward. I just wanted to update the board. It's going to be on a first come, first come, first qualified process. So when it gets opened up, it's going out on 2 state websites as well as Karen's site. And as the applications come in the order they come in, they'll be qualified. And the goal is when she gets at least 3 qualified candidates, excuse me, because of COVID, she'll go out and she'll actually do a showing of the unit. And then based on that, you know, in the order that they were received, the unit will be awarded and, you know, we'll start the process to close on the unit. So we've had good communications with the unit on the other side. I just wanted to share a note that I received, a portion of the note that I think is very important. Bear with me 1 second while I put my hands on it. And a very powerful message. Where did I put it? Excuse me for 1 second. I didn't include it in the packet specifically because it was more attached to it. So, all right, I'm going to pull it from my phone. Bear with me 1 second because I think it's important to share with this board the viewpoint of someone that is in an affordable unit and what it meant to them and the difference that it made in their life. So,
Lisa, while you're looking for that, I'll just jump in quickly. I've got one comment, one question. I think
sure.
Based on everything I'm reading about the real estate market, it's probably going to be on the market for about 10 minutes.
At least, yeah. Yeah, it's going to go very fast. She said that.
And the second thing is, where does the money go? I just don't know.
Into the Affordable Housing Trust.
Okay.
That's where it was paid out of.
Trust, yeah.
It goes back to the trust.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks.
So before I go around for comments, I just wanted to share this one little brief snippet of what she said. She said, "We're very excited to have a new neighbor and know what a life-changing opportunity it is to have an affordable home. It's hard to understate how being able to set down roots and having the financial stability of a home we can afford has impacted our lives in countless ways. It's allowed incredible freedom and confidence to pursue other avenues that improved our quality of life. I started a second business, which has thrived, and it enabled my husband to accept a new job and professional promotion within years of moving in. I know how many people understand on paper why having affordable homes is a social necessity, but I'm not sure if people fully appreciate how life-altering it is. I'm thrilled to know our new neighbor will have this opportunity soon too." So, a very powerful message
I'm crying.
in what we're
Is
doing
that-
and why.
Is that from the other tenant?
It is. It is. I said I wouldn't use names, but
Nope.
I think it's a powerful message about why we're all sitting here and giving our time today. So with that being said, I'll go around. Brian, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I guess the only question I had is the wall issue resolved? Has that
Yes.
been repaired, all squared away?
Yes.
Okay.
So I had also asked Aldo just to make sure that there's no outstanding issues, and there are not on the
Okay.
property at all. And the condo association has been set up, and funds are going in from both to cover all costs of snow maintenance and whatnot.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Mr. Stivers.
A couple of questions. One, where did this multiplier come from to set the price, and what's the 111,000 base that they used there? I didn't understand the math.
So that's from DHCD. They're the ones that set, it's the multiplier. I mean, it's the standard formulas that they use in doing this. They're the ones that set the price. We have no say in the price. I could certainly ask her, Sam, but I mean, it's just the typical formula that they use.
Not critical. What was the 111,000 base number that they multiplied?
I can get that information for you.
That's
No
not the assessed value or something like
No.
that? No.
No.
Second, is there a Southborough resident preference on this, or senior preference or something that targets the new owner and to support some particular thing that we think is important in addition to simple affordability?
There's not. Currently, at this time, it's just first come, first qualified, but we'll certainly get the word out in advance of the application, the process opening up. Karen let us know that as well. She would share that. We can share that on, through social media, the town has, through the blog, so people will be well aware in town of when.
Yeah, we've talked about that in other settings, and I think that's an important aspect that we ought to try to work in when we can, at least. And is there any long-term obligation here in terms of somebody buys this for the proposed price and decides a couple of years down the road to sell it to somebody else for $500,000 or some big number, is there any limit in terms of keeping this affordable for people on the subsequent transactions?
So there's a deed rider within the deed itself, Sam, that it stays affordable. And if when these, we kind of went through this before when it sold prior, the town has the right of first refusal on the units to begin with. You can decline the right of first refusal, and then it goes to DHCD for 30 days, I believe that it is. So kind of why we got it back was crazily, no one under DHCD put in an offer, a qualified offer, I should say. There were offers, but they weren't qualified. So the town always has the opportunity. That's why we bought it back, so we could keep it affordable. And yeah.
So as long as we have the option to keep it affordable and not have somebody move in and make a big profit off of it, and it becomes unaffordable.
And they couldn't make a profit anyway, Sam. How it's set up through the state is anything they sell over the resale value would come back to the town anyway. But again, you'd never want that because you would lose the affordability piece. Sorry, okay. Mr. Boland, go ahead.
Right. Well, it's all, just to touch on a couple things. It's all based on a formula of what the house originally sold for.
Okay.
And then the district that you're in, whether you're in the Boston district or the Worcester district, sets the affordable parameters for what your income can be based on the size of the family and other things. And then these multipliers come out, so you can make money. So the last tenant was trying to sell it, and as I think Lisa said, there was nobody really qualified to do it, and was ready to put it on I thought she could put it on the open market, only to realize if it goes there and you sell it for $400,000, you still only get this money.
Yeah.
So that incentive kind of disappears after you're not going to get a windfall off it.
Yeah. Well, just so it remains affordable. That was my concern. So.
Yeah, and this has been, unfortunately, we've done this a couple times, and for lack of better wording, this has been the worst one that we had to deal with. Yeah. Others, affordable housing was going fairly quick, and this needed some update and other stuff. And it'd be nice if we could afford to buy a new unit like we had done in the past or whatever. But I think anybody that drives through town sees that houses that historically we would be able to purchase and fix up, like the one over near Finn School, they're going in a day or two, and they're basically just being gutted and rebuilt by someone that's making a bunch of money. So I see it being more difficult unless we have a friendly person approach the town, which we had some in the past.
Thank you.
All right, Sam. So did that answer your question on the multiplier, Sam, or would you like Rico to expand more on it?
That's fine. Let's keep going. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Lisa, one
yes.
follow up to that.
Sure.
I just there will not be in the process a preference for Southborough residents. Is that right?
Currently, there's not. Again, we're meeting Karen at the house at 10. I can certainly ask her what would be involved in that.
If we're going to head to, I have a different view of it. And I suspect the state would have a different view of it, and that it not be an inside job or an inside preference. I mean, I think one of the reasons for this is to have diversity of opportunity for folks to live in Southborough who don't already live here. And so I have a different view of whether or not we should have a preference for someone who lives in Southborough.
And I think it would be tough too to market it. I mean, the state requires you put it on. There's two sites that the state has as well that it has to go on. And I think it would be tough to market it on those sites with having restrictions. I can certainly ask the question. I agree, Marty. I'm not necessarily in favor of that. I think Southborough residents would have an opportunity just like everybody else. And the reason we didn't do the lottery was because we know it's going to go quick. And we want to get somebody in there and give somebody an opportunity, just like the other side has had. So I think through the lottery process in the past, I think preference was given to Southborough residents, whether it be teachers. And Bill, you would probably know more than me. You kind of sat around on this for a long time.
Yeah, on some, and depending on the number of units that were available, there was a preference for a Southborough resident, but as well, that didn't necessarily happen. Gilmore Road, for example, I think was a preference for a Southborough resident if they qualified. And another one, but there wasn't necessarily someone that qualified, so they went to other people that were qualified. Thoughts on a Southborough resident is at the time was children and people who may be renting in Southborough or whatever to be able to stay in town, because as we all know, the affordability factor now to live in Southborough has grown even more than when we started this. But that was the thing. It wasn't to exclude anyone, but it was more to, as an example, some of the ones that weren't town controlled, that were affordable housing through lotteries. I know of some divorced people who otherwise would have had to move out of town that were able to stay in town because now their income levels were such that they could qualify for this house. So there are good benefits to people who, as opposed sometimes to bringing other people into town. Sometimes you're keeping people in town who otherwise would struggle to find a house because of a divorce situation or something like that. So it's pluses and minuses. This, I think, just make people aware that it's out there, and if it's the programs that it's in before, put out in advance of it going out. Here's what you need to qualify, because at the time, I know people were disqualified. They met the income levels and other things, but they listened to the experts and put aside money in a 401k at work, which disqualified them.
Yep.
So to get that information out to people who can prepare in advance when it comes on the market and it's time to, especially on a first come, first serve, it takes some real legwork to put everything together with your finances and be able to qualify.
That's a great point, Bill. And I think we can certainly get that information from Karen well in advance and put it out there, through the town, again, town social media, the blog, whatnot. I think there's certainly ways.
Can we do that? In other words, can we select a group of people to give advance notice?
No, I would say make that available to anyone.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that people, because as I say, the first one that I had participation with, and it may have been the Gilmore House, which was a great opportunity for people. And I know the people that live there now, they love that they had the opportunity and they're in there. But a lot of people just figured with their income and other things they could qualify. But there's a whole list of what you have in the bank, and some of that may have been relaxed now. There are some programs where you can have a little more in savings that you can't touch, or whatever, 401ks. And as far as what you'd need for, I haven't seen in this information, but there is definitely like a parameter of pretty much how much you can make and how much you need to make in order to afford the mortgage on it. And it's, the last time I did this, it was a very tight number. Like you could make up to, for a family of such, you could make up to say $80,000, but you had to be making $72,000 in order to afford the note. And there's only so much gifting of a down payment and other things. So there's a lot in there. I just think the more we can put up and out in advance for people to ready themselves to make a bid, and that's anyone. I just want to sell this house. It's been a long time.
So Bill, what I'll do is when I meet Karen today, I'll ask that question of her. What is the best process? Obviously she would know.
Yep.
This is her job. So I will certainly get that information from her, and I'll share it with everybody as well. Happy to do that. Yes, Sam, go ahead.
I would add to Bill's list of divorcees. I was actually more thinking of seniors who are looking to downsize in town. So for me, at least, that's another interesting group that would be nice to be able to support if we could. But I understand Marty's concern about being too directive on this.
The only problem with that, Sam, is I'm pretty sure if you have ever owned a home, you're disqualified unless you have an event like you were divorced. You know, usually these are for first-time home buyers, and most seniors who are trying to downsize, I don't think would qualify because of that.
Well, maybe one who's recently wedded or whatever.
Yep, that's a possibility, and I can't speak to it. I just know that homeowner requirement and a divorce can qualify you if you were otherwise excluded.
Okay, and I'll get the criteria, Sam. I'll forward that out as to, I assume it's in the paperwork that Karen supplies to everybody. So I'll get that, and I'll get that forwarded to everybody.
Yeah, and if anyone has a folder from previous information, which I probably have somewhere in cold storage or something, they could see some flyers and other things and I think MCO was the one that put them out.
It was. She's marketed this property before. She's well aware of it.
Yeah, this is a different woman that I'm used to, but maybe they have someone else working there, and now there was a Maureen, someone who did it a couple times for us from this group.
Yeah, so Karen said she was actually, when it went on the market before we had the issues that came up, she actually had a buyer for it. So she's very familiar with the property. And again, she has pictures, but she just wanted to do, another walkthrough and take some current pictures as well. So.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Shea, do you have anything, questions, comments you'd like to add? Anybody else before we move on? And I have my marching orders. I will obviously keep everybody updated when the brochure comes out. We'll all get it. I will share and ask Karen some of these questions in advance. So,
one other quick question, Lisa.
Sure.
Are we good on finances for anything else? Oil, other utility bills and stuff.
Up to date.
What we have in the pot is still good to cover anything coming up.
Yes, and it has been. And actually, I just signed off on the electric bill the other day, so it's obviously it's minimal. So
better you than me.
And like I said, the only real expense I think we're going to incur is just a cleaning. It's sat for a long time. It's dusty. It's a little dirty. And
yep.
The only other thing is the walls are kind of scruffed up. And I talked to Karen briefly about, maybe is it worth it to bring somebody in to paint? And she said she's going to look at it, but she said probably not. People are going to want to paint it their own colors and
yep.
update it their own way. So it could be just cleaning, 2 to 3 hours of cleaning. So
yep.
I was going to talk to Mr. Purple about that to see if maybe even the cleaners for the town, because of COVID and things are a little slow, maybe they might be interested in, taking a little break in there. They're already set up in the system, so it should be relatively easy. Okay, so that's it for Stockwell. Meeting minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Anything to add on the minutes? Wow, I like this. All right.
Sam, nothing?
If you like, I could go back and take a closer look.
No, move to accept the minutes.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Dorian.
Aye.
Ms. Malinowski.
Aye.
Mr. Healy.
Aye.
Mr. Shea.
Aye.
Mr. Stivers.
Aye.
Mr. Boland.
Aye.
And Ms. Braccio, aye. With that being said, is there any other matters anyone has to bring forth? I see none. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All
Second.
right. All right. Let's go. Ms. Malinowski.
Aye.
Ms. Jasinski.
Aye.
Mr. Healy.
Aye.
Mr. Shea.
Aye.
Mr. Stivers.
Aye.
Mr. Boland.
Aye.
Ms. Braccio, aye. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you all making the time today. And hopefully next time I'll come, it'll be good news. The unit will sold. Thank you. Take
Thanks.
care.
No offense. I hope this is our last Zoom